ChatGPT said, "My friend, one of the greatest traps of life is the need to prove yourself to others. Many of us spend our entire journey trying to convince people that we are worthy, that we are capable, that we belong. But hear me, the moment you live to prove yourself, you place your value in the hands of others. And when your worth depends on their opinion, you will forever live in chains. You were not created to be validated by the applause of people. You were created to fulfill a purpose greater than their approval. True growth does not come from proving, it comes from becoming. It comes from aligning with the assignment that was written for your life before you even entered this world. Think of a seed. A seed does not shout to the soil, 'Believe in me.' No, the seed simply grows. It breaks through the darkness, stretches toward the light, and becomes what it was designed to be. The seed does not ask permission to be a tree, it simply manifests its destiny. You too must grow in silence and let your life speak louder than your words. When you stop proving, you start living. When you stop chasing approval, you begin to walk boldly in the uniqueness of who you are. The truth is, some people will never accept you, no matter what you do, and that is not your burden to carry. Release it, because as long as you are busy proving yourself to them, you are delaying the unveiling of the real you. Boldness is not arrogance. Boldness is confidence in purpose. It is walking with the assurance that you were created with intentionality, that every gift within you has meaning. Stop dimming your light just to fit into the comfort of others. Stop lowering your standards so you won't intimidate them. Your growth is not for their approval, it is for your assignment. Do not waste your years trying to earn the applause of men who cannot give you destiny. Instead, unlock the greatness already within. Walk boldly in the direction of your purpose, not to prove who you are, but to become all that you are meant to be. For the world does not need another imitation. It needs the authenticity of your true self revealed. Stop seeking validation. True worth is not found in proving yourself to others, but in living out your purpose. Become, don't prove. Growth happens when you align with your destiny, not when you chase approval. The seed principle, like a seed, you don't need to announce your potential. Just grow and let your results speak. Walk in boldness, not arrogance. Confidence comes from purpose, not from seeking applause. Unlock authenticity. The world needs your true self, not a version shaped by others' expectations. Would you like me to also condense these into short, punchy one-liners like a keynote slide format? The need to seek validation is one of the deepest prisons of the human soul. From the time we are children, we are conditioned to look for approval. Approval from parents, from teachers, from peers. As we grow older, this silent craving continues, only the audience changes. We start seeking recognition from colleagues, supervisors, friends, and even strangers. The problem is that when we place our value in the hands of others, we give them the power to define us. And the truth is, people's opinions are unstable. They can celebrate you today and criticize you tomorrow. If your worth is attached to their applause, then your life will always rise and fall on the fragile waves of their opinion. When you spend your energy proving yourself to others, you are actually telling yourself that their perception matters more than your own conviction. You become a performer on their stage, tailoring your identity to fit what they want to see. You smile when you want to cry, you agree when you want to resist, and you conform when your spirit longs to break free. This constant adjusting may win you temporary approval, but it robs you of authenticity. You are no longer living as you were designed, but as a reflection of someone else's expectation. Seeking validation also breeds exhaustion. Imagine running a race where the finish line keeps moving. That is exactly what happens when you chase people's approval. One moment you are applauded and you feel a surge of confidence. The next moment, someone questions your ability, and suddenly you doubt your worth again. It is a cycle that never ends, because no matter how much you achieve, there will always be someone unimpressed, someone critical, someone who wants more. And the more you try to prove yourself to them, the further you drift from your true self. The tragedy of this pursuit is that it blinds you to your own identity. You become so consumed with proving that you forget becoming. Life is not about convincing others of your value. It is about manifesting the value that already exists within you. You are not on this earth to meet everyone's expectations. You are here to fulfill a unique purpose. Purpose does not require permission. Purpose does not need applause. Purpose simply demands that you embrace who you are and walk boldly in it. The danger of seeking validation is also that it makes you dependent. You are no longer motivated by vision, but by reaction. You wait to see how people respond before you decide whether to continue. If they clap, you move forward. If they criticize, you retreat. This kind of dependency is dangerous because it stunts your growth. You will never reach your potential if your movement is determined by the opinions of others. True growth requires consistency, and consistency comes from conviction, not applause. There is also a subtle insecurity that grows when validation is your fuel. No matter how high you rise, there will always be a whisper in your mind saying, "What if they stop believing in me? What if they no longer approve?" That insecurity can make you compromise your values, betray your vision, and abandon your authenticity just to maintain the approval you have gained. You end up living in fear of rejection rather than in freedom of purpose. The moment you stop seeking validation, something powerful happens. You begin to respect yourself. You begin to recognize that your worth does not fluctuate with public opinion. You realize that you are not defined by the compliments or the criticisms of others. Your identity is rooted in something far deeper than their applause. You stop living for their yes and start living from your own conviction. That is where freedom begins. When you no longer need to prove yourself, your actions shift. You no longer perform to be seen, you perform because it is who you are. Your work becomes an expression of your gift, not a tool for approval. Your relationships become authentic because you no longer manipulate yourself to be accepted. Your goals become aligned with purpose because you are no longer chasing recognition but fulfillment. The world is full of people who spent their entire lives trying to prove themselves and never truly lived. They had the talent, the vision, and the potential, but wasted their energy seeking approval from people who could never give them destiny. Don't fall into that trap. Stop seeking validation. Stop proving yourself. The freedom you crave, the growth you desire, and the boldness you admire are all waiting on the other side of letting go. Would you like me to expand this further into a sermon, like rhythm with short, punchy, repeated phrases like Myles Munroe often delivered to give it even more impact? Growth is not found in the exhausting chase of trying to prove your worth. It is discovered in the quiet, steady process of becoming. Many people confuse proving with growing. They think that the more they can impress others, the more progress they have made. But proving is external while becoming is internal. Proving seeks to convince others of something, but becoming allows the truth to reveal itself over time. When you are caught in the trap of proving, your energy is directed outward, toward people's opinions, judgments, and acceptance. But when you focus on becoming, your energy is directed inward, toward your purpose, your discipline, and your destiny. Becoming is about alignment. It is the process of bringing your actions, your character, and your vision into harmony with the purpose for which you were designed. That means growth is not about looking successful in the eyes of others. It is about being faithful to what you were created to do. A tree does not grow to impress the forest. It grows because it has life within it. In the same way, you must grow not to prove, but because there is a destiny within you demanding expression. The difference between proving and becoming is the difference between appearance and reality. Proving creates a performance. You put on a mask to be accepted, to be praised, or to be recognized. But becoming creates authenticity. You are not pretending, you are transforming. Proving focuses on the surface, while becoming changes the roots. Proving is temporary, becoming is permanent. That is why many people can impress others for a moment, but fail to sustain success, because their growth was never rooted in authenticity. When you choose becoming over proving, you also shift your source of motivation. Proving feeds on comparison. You measure yourself against others, trying to show that you are just as good or even better. But becoming feeds on purpose. You no longer compare yourself to anyone. You focus on unfolding who you are meant to be. Comparison leads to envy, insecurity, and pride, while becoming leads to peace, clarity, and confidence. Becoming requires patience. Proving wants quick recognition. It wants the applause now, the approval now, the spotlight now. But growth does not happen overnight. It is a process of small, consistent steps that slowly shape you into who you are destined to be. If you spend your life trying to prove yourself, you will rush the process, cut corners, and chase shortcuts. But if you commit to becoming, you embrace the process, knowing that true greatness cannot be microwaved. It must be cultivated. There is also freedom in becoming. When you are proving, you are enslaved to other people's opinions. Their approval becomes your master. If they celebrate you, you feel strong. If they criticize you, you collapse. But when you focus on becoming, you are free. You are no longer a prisoner of their words. You are anchored by conviction, not tossed around by public opinion. This kind of freedom gives you stability, because you are no longer living for applause. You are living from purpose. Another difference between proving and becoming is the fruit. Proving produces stress, insecurity, and inconsistency. Becoming produces peace, confidence, and authenticity. Proving may win temporary applause, but becoming builds lasting impact. The people who change the world are not those who lived to prove themselves, but those who committed to becoming who they were destined to be. The truth is, you cannot become your true self while you are busy proving. Proving demands that you wear masks, that you hide weaknesses, that you perform roles to be accepted. But becoming requires vulnerability. It requires honesty with yourself, the courage to face your flaws, and the discipline to grow through them. Proving is about perfection in the eyes of others. Becoming is about progression in the eyes of destiny. When you finally stop proving and start becoming, you discover that growth is not about what people see, but about who you are when no one is watching. It is the habits you build, the values you uphold, the character you develop, and the vision you pursue. Over time, those invisible investments will produce visible results, and you won't need to prove anything. Your life will speak for itself. Becoming is the ultimate form of confidence because it does not need validation to move forward. It simply unfolds step by step, layer by layer, until the true self emerges. This is the path to true growth, not striving to convince others of your worth, but embodying the worth that is already inside you. When you embrace becoming, you unlock a freedom and boldness that proving could never give. Would you like me to also expand Keynote 3 with the seed principle in the same deep, flowing style? A seed carries within it everything it is destined to become, yet it never feels the need to announce its potential. It does not demand that the soil believe in it. It does not shout to the other seeds, "Watch me, I will be a tree." It simply submits to the process. Hidden beneath the earth, unseen by human eyes, it begins the quiet work of transformation. In darkness it breaks open. In silence it develops roots. In patience it pushes upward. The seed's greatness is not in its ability to convince others of what it could be, but in its ability to simply grow into what it already is. This is the principle of life. You do not need to prove your potential, you need to cultivate it. Just as the seed does not beg for recognition, you too do not need to beg for validation. Growth does not happen in the applause of the crowd, but in the hidden discipline of the unseen seasons. The most powerful transformations happen in silence, long before the fruit appears for others to see. The danger of seeking constant recognition is that it interrupts your process. When you crave applause too early, you may expose yourself before you are ready, and exposure without maturity is destruction. The soil is not glamorous. It is dirty, it is dark, and it is lonely. Yet it is in that environment that the seed begins to unlock its destiny. Likewise, the seasons of obscurity in your life, the seasons where no one is watching, where your efforts seem unnoticed, where you are hidden, are not signs of failure. They are preparation. They are the soil in which your roots grow deep. Without roots, no tree can stand against storms. Without process, no destiny can endure pressure. Many people want to shine without being buried, but without burial there can be no resurrection into your true purpose. Notice also that the seed never compares itself to another seed. It does not look to the left or right wondering, am I growing faster? Am I being noticed more? Each seed has its own appointed time. If one seed breaks through the soil sooner, it does not mean the others have failed. Growth is individual, purpose is unique, and timing is divine. The moment you begin to compare your process with someone else's, you risk doubting your own growth. The seed that waits longer beneath the soil may one day become the tallest tree. The seed also teaches us that growth is inevitable when you embrace your design. A mango seed will never become an oak, and an oak seed will never bear oranges. Each seed carries a specific blueprint that cannot be altered by opinion or pressure. The tragedy is that many people waste years trying to become something they were never designed to be, all because they wanted to impress someone else. But just as a seed cannot change its DNA, you cannot escape your true purpose. You will only find peace when you commit to becoming what you were created to be. The process of the seed also shows that patience is power. Growth takes time. Roots must spread, stems must rise, leaves must unfold. You cannot rush destiny. If you pull a seed from the ground before its time, you destroy its future. In the same way, rushing your own process to impress others will only rob you of the fullness of your potential. The most enduring greatness is that which takes time to develop. Quick recognition often fades just as quickly, but growth that is cultivated patiently becomes unshakable. Another lesson from the seed is silence. It grows without noise, without demanding attention, without making announcements. Yet when its time comes, no one can deny its presence. The tree speaks through its fruit, not its words. In life, you do not need to convince people of who you are becoming. Your consistency, your discipline, and your results will testify for you. The loudest evidence of growth is fruit, not argument. So the seed principle reminds us that the real work of growth is hidden, the real strength is rooted, and the real proof is fruit. You are not here to prove, you are here to become. Just as the seed does not seek validation but simply fulfills its design, your task is not to convince others of your potential, but to cultivate it until it manifests. When you commit to the quiet, patient, and disciplined process of growth, you will one day emerge like the tree, strong, fruitful, and undeniable, with no need to prove, because the evidence of your life will speak louder than anything you could say. Would you like me to expand Keynote 4? Walk in boldness, not arrogance. Next, in the same deep, flowing rhythm, boldness is often misunderstood. Many confuse it with arrogance, but they are not the same. Arrogance is loud, insecure, and dependent on making others feel small in order to feel significant. Boldness, on the other hand, is quiet confidence that flows from purpose. It does not need to shout or belittle. It simply stands firm in the knowledge of who you are and why you exist. Arrogance inflates the ego, boldness affirms identity. Arrogance seeks attention, boldness fulfills intention. When you walk in boldness, you are not moved by the shifting opinions of others. You are anchored by conviction, not swayed by applause or criticism. You no longer shrink to make others comfortable, nor do you exaggerate yourself to demand respect. Boldness is balance. It is the ability to walk upright, secure in your worth without apology. It is not about thinking you are better than others. It is about refusing to think you are less than who you were created to be. Boldness comes from clarity of purpose. When you know why you exist, you no longer waste energy proving yourself. A person who understands their assignment does not need to compete with others. They understand that their journey is unique and their path is personal. This understanding frees them from jealousy and insecurity because they are not trying to measure themselves against someone else's race. Arrogance compares and boasts, but boldness focuses and builds. Walking in boldness also requires courage. The world often pressures people to conform, to fit into molds, to follow the crowd. Boldness refuses that pressure. It dares to be different, not for the sake of rebellion, but for the sake of authenticity. It is standing tall in your truth, even if you stand alone. Boldness is not reckless, it is rooted in wisdom. It knows when to speak, when to act, and when to be silent, because it is guided by purpose rather than impulse. Another important distinction is that boldness uplifts others. Arrogance pushes people down to stay on top, but boldness inspires others to rise. A bold person does not feel threatened by the success of those around them, because they are secure in their own destiny. Instead, they encourage, empower, and create space for others to grow. Boldness creates leaders, arrogance creates enemies. When you walk in boldness, you become a source of confidence for others, showing them that they too can walk freely in their own identity. Boldness also releases freedom. When you are bold, you stop living under the weight of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. Fear keeps people small, but boldness allows them to expand. It opens doors because it gives you the courage to knock. It creates opportunities because it gives you the confidence to step forward when others hesitate. Many people never step into their potential because they lack boldness, not ability. Talent without boldness remains hidden, but even small abilities with boldness can create great impact. The strength of boldness is that it is not dependent on external affirmation. It is not about how many people agree with you or how many applaud you. It comes from within, from a deep recognition that your worth is not up for negotiation. This kind of boldness is unshakable. Storms may come, critics may rise, obstacles may appear, but a bold person continues to walk because their confidence is not rooted in circumstances. Boldness also requires humility. At first, this may sound contradictory, but true boldness is never prideful. It acknowledges limitations, admits mistakes, and remains teachable. Arrogance resists correction, boldness embraces it. Arrogance pretends to know everything, boldness seeks wisdom. Humility and boldness together form a powerful combination because you remain grounded while still walking tall. You do not shrink in insecurity, but you also do not inflate yourself in pride. When you embrace boldness, you begin to experience life on a new level. You stop hiding your gifts. You stop suppressing your voice. You stop holding back your ideas out of fear of what others may think. Boldness unlocks expression. It allows you to bring your full self to every space without apology. And when you live this way, the world cannot ignore you, not because you demanded attention, but because your authenticity is undeniable. Walking in boldness, not arrogance, is about embodying purpose with confidence, standing firm in identity with humility, and living in a way that inspires others rather than oppresses them. It is the quiet strength of knowing who you are, the steady courage of living it out, and the unshakable resolve to never dim your light for anyone. That is the essence of boldness, and it is the key to walking freely and fully into your destiny. Do you want me to move on and expand Keynote 5, Unlock Authenticity with the same 700-word style? Authenticity is the courage to live as your true self, without disguise, without pretense, and without compromise. It is the freedom to stop performing for others and to start embodying the person you were designed to be. Too many people spend their lives wearing masks, presenting images of themselves that are more acceptable, more pleasing, or more impressive to others. They suppress their uniqueness in order to fit into molds created by society, culture, or relationships. But the danger of living this way is that you can gain the approval of many while losing yourself in the process. Authenticity demands that you stop editing who you are for acceptance and start embracing who you are for purpose. The world does not need another copy of someone else, it needs the original version of you. Every individual carries a unique combination of gifts, perspectives, and experiences that no one else can replicate. Yet when you hide behind imitation, you rob the world of that contribution. Authenticity is not about being perfect, it is about being real. It is not about always having the answers. It is about having the honesty to admit when you don't. It is not about projecting strength all the time. It is about showing your humanity even in moments of weakness. People are not inspired by flawless masks. They are inspired by genuine lives. Unlocking authenticity begins with self-awareness. You cannot live as your true self if you have never taken the time to discover who that self is. Many people are strangers to their own identity because they have spent so much time living for others. They know what pleases people, but not what fulfills their soul. They know what is expected of them, but not what is true about them. Authenticity requires you to dig deep, to confront your own fears, to acknowledge your own desires, and to embrace both your strengths and your flaws. The journey of authenticity is not about creating a new self, but uncovering the one that has always been there. When you live authentically, you also create deeper connections with others. Pretending may win you attention, but it will never give you intimacy. Real relationships are built on truth, not performance. When you are authentic, you attract people who resonate with your real essence, not with the mask you wear. This means the relationships you build will be more genuine, more supportive, and more enduring, because they are not based on illusion. Authenticity filters your circle. It repels those who only value your performance and draws those who value your presence. Living authentically also unleashes confidence. When you are pretending, you live in constant fear of being exposed. You worry that people will discover the real you and reject it. This fear keeps you small and insecure. But when you embrace authenticity, that fear loses its power. You no longer waste energy maintaining appearances. You invest that energy into becoming. Confidence flows naturally when you are no longer fighting to be someone else. You walk lighter, speak clearer, and act bolder because you know that who you are is enough. Authenticity does not mean you ignore growth or resist change. It does not mean you stay the same forever. True authenticity is about aligning your growth with your genuine identity, not with imposed expectations. It is about becoming the best version of who you are, not a counterfeit version of someone else. Just as a seed grows into the tree it was meant to be, so too must you grow into the fullest expression of yourself. Authenticity honors your design even as you evolve, ensuring that every step of progress takes you closer to truth, not further from it. The challenge of authenticity is that it requires courage. Not everyone will accept the real you. Some may criticize, some may misunderstand, some may even walk away. But authenticity teaches you that rejection is not the end. It is simply redirection toward those who are meant to walk with you. Better to be rejected for being real than to be accepted for being fake. The freedom of authenticity is worth the price of misunderstanding, because living a lie is far costlier than losing approval. When you unlock authenticity, you also unlock influence. People are drawn to what is real. They may admire perfection, but they connect with authenticity. Your story, your struggles, your victories, and even your scars carry the power to inspire others when shared honestly. The authenticity of your journey becomes a light for those still trapped in the darkness of pretense. By living as yourself, you give others permission to do the same. Authenticity is the ultimate expression of freedom. It frees you from comparison because you are no longer trying to measure up to someone else's standard. It frees you from fear because you are no longer afraid of being exposed. It frees you from exhaustion because you are no longer carrying the burden of performance. Instead, you live lightly, walk confidently, and grow consistently because you are aligned with the truth of who you are. The world does not need another performance. It needs the real you. And when you live in authenticity, you not only fulfill your purpose, but you also inspire others to find and embrace theirs. Do you want me to now weave all 5 expanded keynotes into a single, flowing motivational master speech in the same style, around 500 words? My friend, life is too short to waste proving yourself to those who will never see your value. You are not placed here to chase applause, to wear masks, or to live in fear of rejection. You are placed here to grow, to become, to walk boldly, and to live authentically. Stop shrinking to fit into the small expectations of others, and stop dimming your light to make them comfortable. The seed within you was designed for greatness, and the world is waiting to taste the fruit of your becoming. So walk with courage, not arrogance. Live with authenticity, not imitation, and rise with boldness, not fear. Because when you embrace who you truly are, you unlock a freedom that no one can take away. Let your life speak so loudly through its fruit that you never have to prove anything again.